Today we are deleting the Eiffel Tower, the world's most recognizable structure. We see it in every movie, we dream of seeing it in person, and it has stood as the ultimate symbol of human ambition for over 130 years. But what if, in a single heartbeat, the Eiffel Tower simply evaporated? In this video, we are going to dismantle the world's most iconic silhouette and watch as the French economy loses its $500 billion heartbeat. We'll see how the absence of this iron monster would have cost the Allies World War I, and how, without its massive height, we might have never mastered the aerodynamics needed to conquer the skies. We'll explore how your modern smartphone would be stuck in the dark ages of signal, and how Paris, without its vertical anchor, becomes just another gray, forgotten city in the heart of Europe. If we delete the tower, the modern world doesn't just change, it breaks. This is world erased. To understand what we are losing, you have to look at just how much this tower broke the rules of reality. In 1889, the world was flat. If you wanted to build something tall, you had to use stone. But stone has a limit. It is heavy, it is thick, and it is clumsy. For thousands of years, the higher you went, the thicker your walls had to be. The tallest thing on Earth at the time was the Washington Monument at 169 meters. It was a massive achievement of solid stone. But then Gustave Eiffel decided to do something that people thought was physically impossible. He proposed a structure 300 meters tall. He didn't just break the record, he doubled it. Imagine if someone showed up in your city tomorrow and built a tower 2 miles high, twice the height of the Burj Khalifa. That is the shock the world felt. They didn't think it was art, they thought it was a mechanical monster that would eventually fall over and crush the city. If we erase the tower from history, we delete the structural revolution. Before Eiffel, engineers thought height was a death sentence because of the wind. Eiffel proved that a metal skeleton was the answer. Because his tower was 90% empty space, the wind didn't push it. The wind blew through it. Without this iron blueprint, the age of the skyscraper never starts. Your modern city skyline is flat. There is no Empire State Building, no Burj Khalifa, and no penthouse views. We would live in a world of endless urban sprawl, with cities stretching for hundreds of miles, because we never figured out how to build safely toward the clouds. But height wasn't the only problem Eiffel had to solve. If you build a 300-meter tower, how do people get to the top? In 1889, elevators were terrifying, slow, and couldn't travel in a curve. Because the Eiffel Tower's legs are curved, standard elevators would have crashed. Eiffel worked with the Otis Elevator Company to invent a completely new way to move humans. They created hydraulic lifts that could climb a curve. If we erase the tower, we erase the pressure that forced humans to master the elevator. Without this breakthrough, the walk-up remains the standard. Your office, your apartment, and your hotels would all be capped at 5 or 6 floors because no one would be willing to climb 30 flights of stairs to get to work. We'd be a society physically limited by the strength of our own legs. Building the tower was like putting together the world's largest, most dangerous 3D puzzle. Since there were no computers, Eiffel's team hand-drew 5,000 separate blueprints for 18,000 different iron parts. Every single piece had to be a perfect fit. If a bolt hole was off by even a tiny bit, the whole tower would lean. They used 2.5 million rivets to lock it all together in just 2 years. That's faster than most cities can finish a highway project today. But the tower wasn't just about looking down at the world. It was about learning how to move through it. This is the impact almost no one talks about. We think of the tower as a place for tourists, but it was actually the world's most important laboratory for the sky. In the early 1900s, humanity was desperately trying to figure out how to fly. Gustave Eiffel used his tower to find the answer. He turned the structure into a vertical test track. He began dropping different shapes from the high platforms, attached to wires, to measure exactly how drag and lift worked. He was obsessed with air resistance. He didn't stop there. He built one of the world's first aerodynamic laboratories and a massive wind tunnel at the foot of the tower. This data became the gold standard for early flight pioneers. Even the Wright brothers used Eiffel's research to design the wings that eventually took humanity off the ground. If we delete the tower, we delete the laboratory that taught us how to fly. Aerodynamics is set back by decades. Without Eiffel's data, the early years of aviation are defined by even more crashes, more failures, and slower progress. International travel as we know it would be a slow, dangerous dream. The sleek, fast planes that carry us across the world today, they might have never made it off the drawing board. In a world without the Eiffel Tower, the sky is still a place for birds, not people. Now imagine the heartbreak of 1909. The Eiffel Tower was only supposed to stand for 20 years. The city of Paris was literally days away from taking it apart. Demolition crews were standing by to turn the Iron Lady into railroad tracks and scrap metal. Gustave Eiffel was desperate to save his child. He spent his own fortune to install weather gauges and radio equipment at the very top. He proved that the tower wasn't a useless chimney, but a vital tool for the future of science. If we erase the tower here, we lose the world's first big tech hub. We lose the foundation of everything that makes your modern life work. This is where the world erased timeline changes the history books. It's 1914. World War I is raging, and Paris is about to be captured. The German army is 30 miles away, so close they can see the sun reflecting off the tower's tip. They are prepared for a total victory. But the French army had a secret weapon. They turned the Eiffel Tower into a 1,000-foot giant ear. Because the tower was so tall, it could listen to German military radio signals from the front lines. It was the ultimate hacker of the 20th century. The tower's radio station intercepted a crucial German message, revealing that their army was changing its route and leaving their side unprotected. Because the French could hear the German plans, they launched a surprise attack called the Miracle of the Marne. They saved Paris and flipped the script of the entire war. Without that giant listening post, the French are deaf. Paris falls in 1914. Germany wins World War I. The map of the world is redrawn, and the United States never becomes a global superpower because the war ends before they can even join. Erase the tower, and you erase the modern world's history and the very balance of power we live under today. And the tower is still working for us today. It houses one of the world's most consistent meteorological stations. Since 1889, it has been recording wind speeds, air quality, and temperature at a height no other city can match. This data is the backbone of our understanding of climate change in urban environments. If we erase the tower today, we lose over a century of climate data. We lose the sensors that warn us about toxic smog levels over Paris. We lose the ability to predict local weather patterns with the precision we have now. We become blind to the very changes happening in our own atmosphere. Finally, let's talk about the money. If we delete the tower right now, in 2026, the French economy doesn't just stumble, it crashes. The Eiffel Tower brand is valued at over $500 billion. It is the most valuable landmark in Europe, worth more than the Colosseum and the Tower of London combined. It acts like a giant gravity well, pulling in 40 million tourists a year who spend billions on hotels, food, and fashion. But the biggest loss is the soul. If I say Paris, you see the tower. Without it, Paris is just another pretty city. It's Vienna, it's Prague, it's a B-tier destination. The city of love dies because it loses its heart. A world without the Eiffel Tower is a world where the most famous place on earth to get engaged is just an empty patch of grass. Thousands of couples who met or honeymooned under its lights never do. Your parents or grandparents might never have had that Parisian spark. If we erase the tower, we might be erasing you. We take selfies with it and call it a famous landmark. But the Eiffel Tower is the skeleton of the modern world. It's the reason the world wars ended the way they did. It's the laboratory that taught us how to fly, And it's the reason we can send signals to the phone in your hand. If we erase the Eiffel Tower, we lose the foundation of the 20th century. So the next time you see that sparkle at night, remember, it's not just a light show. It's the heartbeat of a world that almost didn't happen. What should we erase next? The Leaning Tower of Pisa or the Colosseum in Athens? Let me know in the comments, and let's keep dismantling the world.